we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast, hit us up on our Twitter or Instagram. If you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast that way or donate to the podcast, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Bigmark podcast. And again, thank you all so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you tonight, tomorrow, today, whenever you might be listening. But again, thank you all for being here tonight. It's an interesting topic today, you know, like I always say, but, you know, something that I kind of wanted to just jump right into. And it's like, it's an interesting thing. So I want to talk about open mics, and it's like, open mics are kind of like, they're an intriguing affair. Let's just put it this way. So the thing with open mics, so I'm specifically talking about music open mics. There are stand-up open mics, and don't get me wrong. In fact, actually, one of the first stand-up comedians I ever saw actually live in person was at an open mic at a bar that was normally meant for musicians. Again, not necessarily exclusive to, but normally musicians, and I had played a few open mics up until that point and never saw a comedian there. But again, you know, listening to, you know, kind of anyone in the Rogan sphere and practically anyone with a podcast. Well, not anyone with a podcast, but many stand-ups tend to have a podcast. And they talk about doing open mics, and, you know, even that is kind of interesting, right? It's like, there's something about the medium of podcasts that I think lends itself to stand-up comedians, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, but obviously they get to talk, they get to speak to you in long form. You know, that's one of the things that Joe Rogan always talks about, but even these podcasters that have a half hour to an hour podcast where it's just you and them sitting in front, just like we are right now, it gives them a chance to kind of tell their stories in long form and kind of, you know, extend their stories that they tell on stage, or maybe shed some light on that, or tell it in a completely different perspective, because obviously you have to like distill the story down, make it funny and punchlines here and there, and make it fit into a set, right? Like, obviously, you know, you're doing a set that, you know, can be anywhere from, I think I don't know if stand-up comedians ever get less than 5 minutes. I think that might be like one of the lowest things, but who knows? 5 minutes, and then 10, and then, you know, half hours and hours and stuff. So who's to say what they have to do to the stories to make them fit into those set lengths? But again, you know, I think obviously the podcast world just lends itself to that and allows you to just kind of tell those stories. Funny enough, you know, I just listened to Joey Diaz's book, which I thought was well, there's only one way to put it, tremendous. Again, love Joey, just absolutely fantastic book. And he told a lot of stories that I've kind of heard before, but just gave a lot of clarity to them. I mean, I did listen to Joey Diaz's whole life story on the Honeydew podcast. Ryan Sickler has Joey go through his whole life, and he basically does this in the book too. But the author that helped him out and wrote it, you know, did a good job. But again, this is what happens in podcasts, and this is why I think it lends, the medium itself lends itself to stand-up comedians. But having listened to all these podcasts, you know, I hear about all these comedians. That's how they started. They started at open mics, and there are stand-up open mics. They're at comedy clubs almost exclusively. I think some bars will have like comedy open mics, but or even like, from the sounds of it, even like comic book shops or wherever can just like have a little space, because it's super easy to have a comedy open mic, you just need fucking a mic and a loudspeaker. It doesn't even have to be like a full PA. You just have to have it where the person doesn't have to scream for everyone in the room to hear them. Again, versus a music open mic, which again, we're going to kind of focus on today, but that does require a little bit more. And, one of the reasons why I want to talk about this tonight is because I do host an open mic once a month, which is, not all that often. Most open mics are kind of once a week, but I do host this, and it's been a really interesting experience. I've been really grateful to be able to do it, and it's fun, and it mixes things up. It keeps my live performance edge sharp. And again, it's just kind of one of those things where I made a commitment to it, and I'm sticking to it, and I love it, and it's tons of fun. It's music, and it's new. It's always something. And I get to like play fun covers in front of people and play music the way I started playing music. But it's kind of one of those things where I've been at it for a while now, at least over a year, and it's been tons of fun, and it's been gaining a little bit more popularity. So if you are listening to this and you are in the Hamilton Dundas area, and if you ever did want to come down to check it out, it is the third Thursday of every month at Sean and Ed's Brewing Company in Dundas, Ontario. Again, it's the third Thursday, so sometimes that gets a little tricky because some months have like 5 Thursdays, some months only have 3 Thursdays. So sometimes you think it's the last Thursday, sometimes it can be the last Thursday of a month, sometimes it's literally the middle of the month. In fact, January 18th, I believe, was the last open mic. That was the third Thursday of this month because January of 2024 started on a Thursday. So, or Wednesday or whatever. Let's not split hairs here. It was the third Thursday. So I just hosted it last week, and again, tons of fun. And my stepmom Andrea is in town, and it was great. She was able to come and check it out while she was in town. And 3 out of 4 members of Reckless Harbor were actually able to play. And I'll get to that in a bit. But again, it's kind of one of those things where, it's this opportunity to keep playing and have people come visit you, at least on a set day, have a couple beer. And I used to work at Sean and Ed's, so I still have great connections there. And it's a place where Reckless Harbor was kind of born out of too. So, we're super grateful to play there, even on these Thursday nights. That's usually when the band rehearses. So I try, if the boys are available, I try to get them to all come out, and we can just, again, keep that performing edge sharp, because you do kind of lose it if you don't play very much. And we haven't been playing very much because we've been in the studio. So again, it really scratches that itch, but I love to do it. And again, because I've been doing it more often and consistently, it's been gaining a lot more traction. More people are coming, and people are just, Sean and Ed's tap room has been quite busy. People have kind of accepted it as like a place you can go out and grab some food and have a few beer. And then one of the patrons there who comes out to the open mics, he brings like a table of 20, 30 people, like honestly, tons of people. So it was full. My buddy Trevor from Reckless Harbor was just like he was there because I invited them to come and play when Andrea was in town. But he was kind of seeing just a little bit behind the scenes and some of the madness that is running an open mic, and he was kind of like lending some suggestions. So again, some of the things that can go a little bit rocky with an open mic, I'm of the ilk, again, totally open. If you wanted to do a tight 5 stand comedy, come on up. If you just wanted to sing, if you wanted me to accompany you, I can play guitar, I can play some chords. We can pull up some chords on the tab. I'm not like a jukebox where I know every song ever and can play every song. But if I've heard the song before, I can give it a shot. And again, we basically have a microphone, a mixing board that can play whatever you're going to be able to like kind of plug right into it. Electric guitar is not so great. Bass is not okay if you have a DI, which I do. Acoustic guitar does well, vocals totally fine. So again, it's an open mic. Like, this is the weird thing sometimes, is that people sometimes show up to this open mic thinking like I'm there to have all the different accoutrements that are required to play music and patch chords and instruments. And it's like, I don't know, the open mics I've played at, I come like as prepared as possible. I've played some open mics where it's like full band stuff too, where they have drums and things, where you have to just get the fuck on there and get your shit together and have your shit ready, tuned up, that there's not time in between. Because that's the thing, is that what I try to do as an open mic host is I try to limit a lot of that dead air in between acts, but that's so hard sometimes, especially when people are setting things up and, not super used to playing instruments live. I've had people show up with a acoustic guitar that has like a built-in little tuner and preamp and everything, but then all of a sudden they plug it in and it doesn't work because the battery's dead. I've had wireless rigs break. I've had all types of things not break, but just not work. Again, you kind of have to show up like not knowing what's going on. And Sean Eds, I love you. I love Mark Bowden there and everybody. But the mixer that they have there is not super awesome. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that I wish it did. So sometimes I'm limited, right? But again, if you come with acoustic guitar and you're singing, everything's going to be totally fine. Again, as much as I've played shows with that mixer, and as much as I've played many shows and had a sound guy there, I am not a sound guy. And I know a little bit about live sound, but I'm not a sound person, right? I kind of know what I want to hear, but I don't always know how to achieve that, right? So it's always interesting. And again, it's funny because I'm the host. Basically, the way I've been hosting it since day one is I go up, I play a few tunes, and then whoever wants to come up and play, there's a little sign up sheet. I have people sign up their name, and then I kind of work down the sheet, just kind of first come, first serve, unless someone says, hey, can I go up next? Or like, I got to go, or can I go later? I got some friends coming, they're not here yet. That always happens. But again, sometimes I don't have full control of the said sheet because I'm up there playing. So Trev was like, yo, the good idea was for you to have control of the sheet. Again, sometimes tricky when I'm up there playing. I got to leave it out there for a little bit. But the other tricky thing about Sean Ed open mic is that it's only 6:30 to 8:30, so we only have 20 minutes. And I kind of give people like a three song maximum. And even if they played 3 5-minute songs, let's just say if it was 5 minutes, which is like kind of a little bit on the long side. So even let's say 3 4-minute songs, if they're perfectly on time with those, and then the switch over is really tight, that gives us really only 12 to 15 minutes per act. So that's only 8 people in a 2-hour window, right? So like, for instance, last week we had 10 people sign up. So I was scrambling. I was having to tell people to cut their song short, or only do 2 songs and things like that. And I feel bad because, I obviously want to give everyone a chance to go up there. And especially if people kind of been hanging around and watching, that's happened before where I've had someone hang out the whole time, kind of from start to finish, to go up. And then all of a sudden, by the time they go up, I'm like, hey, we're like almost out of time here. Can you only do 2 songs? And the guy was like, no way, man. I'm doing 3. Like, I waited around this whole time. So totally get that. But again, I obviously want to avoid that kind of instance and make sure things are going as smooth as possible. I think in an ideal world, I'd have like some like in between act music, like just a little something to kind of keep people's ears busy. I don't know if that's a phrase. But again, that whole thing is that, I just want things to move as smoothly as possible. So again, as a host, I usually go up there, play a couple tune, have people sign up, and then I'll look at the sign sheet and be like, all right, Peter's next here. Come on up. I'll play one more song. You guys get all tuned up and then come on right up. Right. So again, even then, the time's a wasting. So that's the way I kind of usually move through people, bring them up. And then if I see the time is moving, I'll just like say, all right, cool. Come on up. Next is whoever, or I'll try to identify them in the crowd and go talk to them while the next person's on stage, or at least say, all right, next up is Brittany and Paul's on deck kind of thing. Right. So these are the kind of things where where the finesse moves kind of come in. And yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking more and more about it. Do I limit it to 2 songs? Right? Like, should I start doing that and say, all right, if there's more time, we'll have more people come up. But again, my biggest challenge is that I don't really know how many people are going to be signing up, not only because I'm up there playing, but I don't know how many people are going to sign up when the whole thing starts, because they might show up a little late. They might show up after the thing starts. But again, after talking to Trev, I think definitely the move is limiting it to 8 spots, only having 8 slots on the sign up sheet. So, there's no where, what am I trying to say? Yeah, you can't have too many people sign up. That's 100%. We're going to do that. We're going to have it 8 slots only. And then I guess at some point I'm going to take over and hold the clipboard. So again, it's always interesting, right? Cause I'm not at Sean and Ed's all the time. I'm there literally once a month. Sometimes I come for other reasons, but I'm there once a month to do the open mic. So sometimes it's kind of like I can't really get people to get into a groove and kind of be like, all right, this is the sheet that we want every time. But I think next time I'll tell the powers that be, hey, like, just get me a sign-up sheet, just have 8 slots on it. And 2 to 3 songs, I think I have to say that. I think that's the key, to just be like, hey, everyone, 2 to 3 songs, or like 1 to 3 songs even, just like super pad my ass, just to be like, hey, if all of a sudden there's something that's happening and we got to start ripping people through. But again, if only 8 people sign up, then that means we can get people can do 3 songs each. So, it's a tricky thing. I never really know each week, right? I never really know. So definitely have it at 8, maybe have a buffer and have like 10 slots that if 10 people really signed up, but I just got to keep super eye on that sheet and kind of make sure people get ready. But it's really cool. Like, there's times where we do have a full lineup and I got to rip people through, but some people are so good, right? Like, it's a funny thing about open mics, right? Is that, it breeds kind of a wild array of musicians, right? It breeds people that maybe shouldn't have any right, or not right. That's harsh. Maybe shouldn't have, like, I don't want to say don't deserve either. Oh my gosh. There's some people that no one wouldn't necessarily like kind of like be like, all right, yeah, like you should be up there. Like, I'm going to pay money to see you. Oh my God. I can't really put this in words. It doesn't sound like I'm an asshole, but what I'm trying to say is that, some people aren't really uber talented, but their only chance to kind of get on stage is at an open mic. And, it's wonderful. And I applaud it. I truly do. I want people to get out there and play, but this is the only chance they get to do it. And there are some people that get out there and they take advantage of the time that's given to them, and they say, hey, there's 3 songs. And then they play 3 of the longest songs in existence, or, they bring a bunch of people up with them and all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I try to get up there with Reckless Harbor. I do. I abuse my power of being the open mic host and try to get Reckless Harbor. But again, I'm saying, for all those reasons, it scratches that performance bug. It gets us out there. It gets our name out there a little bit more. We're Dundas sweethearts. People love us at it's where one of the first places we ever played live together was actually at this open mic. So it's a place where a lot of bands can kind of cut their teeth, or a lot of artists can kind of cut their teeth and just be like, I have these songs that I've written and I've never played them for anyone. I just want to get up on stage and finally show someone, like, oh my gosh, like this is what music's all about. Because that's the funny thing about music, is that, yeah, you usually learn how to play your instrument and toil away in anonymity or in solace, or at least with a band. You guys hunker down, you go into the shed and work on songs and work on yourselves as a band. And it's it's a fickle thing because, again, you can get out there and some of these open mics, you're just kind of getting rushed through, but it still really scratches that itch. It really gets you out there. And sometimes open mic crowds are the hardest crowds to play for, right? They're no one's really paying attention. You're probably just at a bar. People are out drinking, clanking, whatever, having fun. And you're there just playing, Bye Bye Miss American Pie or whatever. And no one fucking cares. But again, some people come up at these things, like I said, with crazy talent. And the Moonshine Cafe in Oakville, which thank God is not closing down, has an unbelievable open mic. In fact, to the point where it's like reverent. So it's right down the street from Humber College, where in Oakville, where there's a great music program there. And a lot of those students go to this open mic, and it becomes this like where the staff like will shush you if you're talking during the performances and stuff. Like it's really, people are really watching you. And again, it's because it's finally an opportunity for these artists to go out there and hone and actually do the thing that they've been practicing for. Actually finally put, the real go. I don't know how to say it, but like, again, like I always make these analogies with sport. We practice all the time. You got to play a game eventually. And open mic's kind of like a scrimmage. Let's just put it that way. An open mic is like a pickup game. But it still gives you that same game speed, feeling of being in front of people. And it gives you that same idea that open micers in comedy have. It gives you that opportunity to kind of like essentially work your material. So super, they're awesome opportunities. If there's ever one in your neighborhood, go check them out. Go even watch one even because you might see some amazing talent that you wouldn't think of. But again, if you're in the Hamilton Dundas area, come check out Bigmark. I'm the host. Every third Thursday, Sean and Brewing Company, open mic, 6:30, 8:30. Bring all your gear. I'll try my best to make it sound good. Anyway, thank y'all for listening. Hit us up anytime, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, YouTubes. Love y'all. See you soon. Peace.